So welcome everybody to our STEM information session this afternoon. My name's Beck. I'm going to be your host for today's session. Keep in mind that this session is actually for you guys. It's not about us. So if there's something that you would like more information on, or if there's something that we haven't covered, please let us know through the chat or the Q&As at the end of this session. But I do want to introduce, we have two academics joining us today. The first is Jessica, and Jessica is a senior lecturer in environmental science and sustainability. She was based at our Mount Helen campus, which is near Ballarat, for 5 years before transferring to our Gippsland campus. Her research background is in long-term climate and environmental change, and she's now actually working on a range of projects across Gippsland with farmers adapting to a changing climate, environmental stewardship of wetlands, and empowering communities to be involved in decision-making around their local environment. So welcome, Jessica. Our second academic joining us today is Andrew, who is an Associate Professor of Microbiology and Fermentation Technology. He's also the head of the Life Science discipline. Andrew is also based at our Gippsland campus where he teaches microbiology, and his research background is in infectious diseases in humans and animals and practical applications of microbes in industry and society. And for anyone who's logged in, who's into their brews, that's definitely me. Andrew also teaches online students about the science of brewing. So over to you guys.
Thanks, Beck, and welcome all to this session. Hopefully you can see my screen or the presentation that I'm sharing, which is on STEM careers and study options. And as Beck said, we'll have plenty of opportunities for questions, so feel free to type some in as we go. Or wait until the end of this session. I'd just like to start by doing an acknowledgement of country. Federation University acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands and waters where our campuses, centres and field stations are located. We pay respect to elders past and present and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and First Nation peoples. Okay, I'm going to kick off this presentation by letting people know that Federation University is actually Victoria's leading university and one of Australia's leading universities in the things that actually matter to graduates. Things like getting full-time graduate-related employment after an undergraduate degree. Things like student support, social equity, first-generation student and the likes. These are things that Fed Uni does really, really well. And so if you want to go to university to get a job, going to Federation University is a really good option. How we achieve that, Jess will talk about a little bit later in this presentation. So briefly, what is STEM and why is it important? STEM, in this context of STEM, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Maths. You will see derivations on the abbreviation STEM or the acronym STEM, sometimes STEAM and with an A representing agriculture and sometimes a double M with the second M representing medicine, but essentially anything that has its basis in science. And skills, well, there's a shortage of skills in these skills, I guess, in Australia. And this is largely because our economy is transitioning, and Australia's workforce is really more based on services that are based around STEM and on more advanced manufacturing. So for these reasons, so-called STEM jobs that require skills in science, technology, engineering and maths are growing at about 1.9, almost 2 times faster than other jobs in Australia. But there's only really a modest increase in enrolments in STEM degrees in Australia in recent years. So what that means is that the number of graduates is not keeping up with demand. And this is particularly the case with women, where still overall in STEM we see women underrepresented, and this has negative implications for workforces. An important point is that STEM can be a foundation or it can be a destination. Some people go to university knowing what they want to do and what they want to be. And that's fantastic, and to some degree they're lucky. Some of us, including me, go to university and didn't actually know what they wanted to be. And science-related degrees are fantastic in that you can try before you buy to some degree. You can get a taste for what really interests you, and then when you start studying those things at university, you develop that real interest in them, and that's where your degree can end up. So that's a great thing about science and technology type degrees and jobs. It's also, I think, very important that we have a population that's really knowledgeable and literate in science. So the more people that do these sorts of degrees, the better. What sort of STEM options do we provide at Fed Uni? We provide degrees in engineering, and I've just jotted down in brackets here when some information sessions are on. Most of the engineering sessions have been on this morning already, but there is a session at 3:30. And I do notice that we have in the room one of our engineering and IT academics who will be able to help with any questions, hopefully, on engineering and IT. The IT information sessions there's at least one on at 3 p.m. So if you need more information on engineering and IT, you can either ask Showay later in this session or go to one of those sessions. There's various sessions on psychology, exercise and sports science on it now, unfortunately. So if that's your interest, we'll leave this room and go and join that one if you like. Science degree at 2:30, environmental and conservation science, session on at 1:30. Vet and wildlife science, that session's already been. Biomed science immediately after this one, and food running now. So if that's your interest, you might go and join that. So we've got, as you can see, a lot of degrees in STEM, and that doesn't even cover our allied health degrees, which if we have STEM with a double M, we've got many in that area too. How does one choose a STEM career? There are literally hundreds of occupations in STEM, and over the next 3 years, I've already touched on this is growing, and STEM occupations are growing at a faster rate than other jobs in Australia. So making a decision to study STEM and work in that area is a good idea. You won't be able to read the text on this slide, I don't think, but this is from basically a STEM Australia website just listing some of the broad categories of jobs available in STEM. And the fact that you can't read every job doesn't necessarily matter. It just gives you an indication of the vast number of career options in this area. So how do you choose a career? We'll start with an interest, or a passion is a really good starting point. And if you know what you're really passionate about or interested about, we'll start looking for jobs that might have those skills or abilities. It's not a bad idea to identify the demand. Often things like where you can get a job and how much you get paid are important factors, although usually if you're passionate about something, you'll hopefully be able to, the other things will take care of themselves. And then learn about the qualifications required to determine that pathway. And I think it's a good idea to talk to people, and you may or may not know people working in that field that interest you, and if you do, we'll talk to them. But if you don't, one of the good things that we offer at Fred Uni is you can have conversations with your academics. You'll get to know your academics really well, and we are more than happy to do our best to provide information that will help you on your career trajectory. So now I'm going to hand over to Jess, and she's going to talk a little bit about potential career outcomes from STEM degrees, essentially.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Ben. Andrew, do you want to mute? There we go. Sorry, just had some feedback there. So I just want to point out, as Andrew mentioned, that STEM does cover science, technology, engineering and maths. But as we're from the School of Science, Psychology and Sport, in terms of the potential careers that we're going to focus on in this presentation, then we're going to focus on our areas, which are psychology, exercise and sports science, environmental science, and biomed and food. So starting with psychology, with a range of different psychology degrees that you can do, and then go on to a whole range of different career opportunities. And these can be working as a clinical psychologist, but also using those skills to apply to a whole range of different fields like human resources or counselling or marketing. So the basic skills that you get in psychology can be applied in a clinical sense or even in a research sense as well, to a whole host of different careers. Next slide, please, Andrew. Now, anyone who's been watching the Olympics over the last couple of weeks will realise that there is a vast range of opportunities available in exercise and sports science. So for every athlete that you saw in the green and gold across your screen, there was a whole team of people who are trained in a range of different sports and science careers to support those athletes, from the design of their outfits, from their strength conditioning, their coaching, their training, their performance, their health and nutrition. All of these aspects, even the timekeepers, all have STEM behind them. So there's such a vast range of opportunities available in exercise and sports science. And with the new facilities that we've got set up at the Mount Helen campus, there's an excellent opportunity here to really immerse yourself in the broad range of opportunities that we have in exercise and sports science. And with this too, there's a lot of placement opportunities as well. So you get that real life experience to go on to your career in exercise and sports science. Next slide, please, Andrew. Environmental science is my passion, and this list of outcomes here are actual real jobs that our graduates have had. So these are students that I've seen go through their careers and end up with jobs basically straight out of their undergraduate in these different organisations. Our graduates are highly employable because they learn really practical skills during your degree. So you learn how to do all the assessments, you learn what is going to be relevant in the field, you get field experience and laboratory experience. And employers find this incredibly valuable, to know that they've got a graduate that can actually get in, get dirty, and get some results straight away. So this is a really important attribute of that we give to our VetUni students. Next slide, please. This is also true in one of our newer degrees in vet and wildlife science. Again, these are real jobs that our graduates have found. And this is, again, because of workplace opportunities that they have through your undergraduate. So we have close relationships with a whole range of different partners and stakeholders throughout our region. So that's one of the benefits of being at a regional university, is that we get to work with our industries in our local areas. So you get the opportunity to see how they run things, and that could be in the terms of guest lectures that they might come and give, or opportunities that you have to go out and see how they work, or later if you go on to research, to be research partners with these employers in the regions. Next slide, please, Andrew. In science and biomed too, this is a really great foundation program that can lead to a whole range of different opportunities. So in some ways it can be a foundation to lead to other research and training opportunities, or straight into a career as well, whether it be in chemistry or microbiology, or, as I say, to go on to further study. Or to gain employment as a researcher. So having these really important skills and hands-on skills. I mean, we have excellent access to laboratory facilities. You can get access to those. We have small class sizes and a high staff to student ratio. So you really get that hands-on experience that you may not get at some of the larger universities. Next slide, please, Andrew. And of course, one of our growing industries is in food science. You can see our wonderful brewing facilities here that we have at the Mount Helen campus, but there's a whole range of skills that can be acquired through the food science degrees, and there's a new food science degree that's on offer next year, I believe. Is that right, Andrew? Yeah. So again, this is working closely with partners in our regions, and importantly in the agribusiness sector as well. So a whole range of job opportunities, either in food production or in agribusiness as well. And this is really a growing field. Next slide, please. So why study STEM at VetUni rather than anywhere else? it really is that real world, real life experience. So having smaller class sizes, being located within our regions, and having really strong relationships with our industry partners. We as researchers and academics work closely with our industry partners, and we want to ensure that we bring that experience to our students as well. So all of our degrees, our STEM degrees at FedUni, provide opportunities for WIL, or work integrated learning. This may be through guest lectures, through research projects, or in many of our degrees, it requires a placement where you're actually out in industry learning hands-on how to apply your skills in real life experiences. Next slide, please, Andrew. And one of the great programs that we have at FedUni is the Industry Placement Program. And this usually takes place in the last 6 months of your degree, where you essentially go and work with an industry partner for that time. You receive a small stipend for this, so you can give up your part-time job and work in this placement. You're still producing some academic output as well, but you're getting that real workplace experience. And we're able to place our students with a whole range of really strong partners within our regions, and there is a very high opportunity that this turns into a employment beyond your degree. So it's a really great way to see pathways from your degree straight into the workplace and stay within your region as well. So this is a terrific program that we're offering across the board at FedUni now. Thanks, Andrew. So just to leave you with some messages, and I look forward to your questions as well. STEM, as we've mentioned, can be a foundation and entry point to a whole range of different careers. What STEM degrees give you is skills in critical thinking, to develop your inquiring mind, to apply process and problem solving. And these can be applied to a whole range of different employment opportunities, and employers realise this. So it's not necessarily that you'll end up in a job exactly in what your degree is, but the skills that you acquire throughout that degree are going to be applicable to so many different opportunities. And as Andrew said, if you don't know where you're going to end up when you first come in, you've got that opportunity to explore different options, talk to your lecturers, get some experience of the workplace throughout your degree and see where that leads you. So being really aware of what your passion is, bringing that into your learning as well. So what are the projects that you want to focus on? What are the research that you might like to do? And see where that takes you. And it's okay if you change your mind halfway through. If you enter something like a Bachelor of Science, there's opportunities to specialise afterwards. You don't need to specialise straight up or switch across from science to engineering. These are all possible options that you can take. So we have the scaffolding in place to do that. We have pathways through the university and, importantly, into employment as well and onto the rest of your career. So thank you for your time. I'll just take the last slide, please, Andrew. Obviously, if you've got questions, we'd love to see them in the chat, or there's lots of other ways that you can get in touch with us and ask your questions more specifically. Thank you for your time.